I think that the genre of people that work there, that IA investigators, sergeants, pretty much sergeants, they're all there to do the right thing, right? They're like, let's take us where the evidence goes, and let's go from there. Do we have a crime? If it is, then we're going to go to internal criminal. If it's just policy stuff, we're going to keep it here. We as law enforcement, every business, whether it's nurses, doctors, attorneys, cops, whatever, firemen, whatever walk of life, we all step in it.
Yeah.
At some point or another, and there's some that are worse than others, right? It's everywhere. But if you stepped into this badge or this job to take all the trauma like you started off the podcast with, to go investigate people that maybe had a policy violation, I didn't sign up for that. You're your own worst enemy. Don't forget to not look inward before you look outward.
Welcome back to the IA Guy, A Police podcast with your host, Marlon Marachi. End of 2025. This is it, man. We're going to go out with a banger. We got some special guests that are going to come in today. But before we get started, I like to brag a little bit about the weather. Let's see. I just got done hearing the news that there's over 100,000 individuals in the state of Michigan that are out of power. Okay, and right now, I want to say it's like 67, 70. We do complain because it gets like 50-ish at night with the wind. Otherwise than that, you know who you are, right? Don't you have partners that left California and went to, Texas, Idaho, Montana, Georgia, and I think the latest has been Missouri. So wanted to get that out there. Look, Dan, thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Right off the bat, this is what I got to know before we get into, internal affairs or any police-related matters. We would like to know, inquirer minds want to know, and people don't probably remember what inquiring minds is, but it's a quote from back in our days. College-trained artist, and then EMT. So the question I have is, what artistic talents did you have, and did those help when you actually became a police officer?
It's funny. You wouldn't think it would, but it did. I mean, I had a degree, so that helped, pay-wise.
Okay.
I never was going to be a deputy. That wasn't my first goal. I went to Otis Institute of Parsons School of Design in L.A., one of the finer art schools in the country, top 5 at the time. Did The Simpsons for a while, but I couldn't make any money. So I went back to school, became an EMT. Later went to Long Beach Memorial, worked as an EMT trauma tech, and on Adam's podcast, on Proper Scoundrel, I told the story one night of when I wasn't even a deputy yet, and Steve Blair was brought in and he died. Okay. And we did that whole thing, and I still wasn't a deputy, and people told me, are you sure? I'm like, I'm even more sure now.
Yeah. Sometimes we, right, because we're on this together, I always say that about this profession is that we don't really know what we're getting ourselves into because let me back up. Tragedy is part of our DNA as you get into this career. And so having experienced that, and I know you just said, you're more certain now. Did that help and prepare you as you went through your academy days and then, you were a young deputy? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going through some stuff personally with some of my family that they're doing stuff like this, fire or whatever, and you can't help but prepare you. I mean, I was doing EMT and in the trauma center in Long Beach for almost 6 years before I got picked up by the sheriff's department. So I had dealt with a lot of that anyway. Right. So getting to the field, it's a little bit different. We carry a gun. You could possibly be shot at, or you're going to, take someone's life or hurt someone. That part I had never dealt with, but the loss, significant before I ever became a deputy.
Yeah, and that's the reality of police work.
That's the part that that's probably the most difficult part to teach or get people to understand before they're walking into this at a young age. They may be 20, 28, 25, whatever, but nothing will hit you like the emotion of a little kid or whatever. You name it, the one that makes you remember something like that. It's hard to shake. It's hard to deal with.
Well, hey, brother, you and I got to meet through Proper Scoundrels, our buddy Adam.
Yeah.
I consider him like a buddy because both Adam and yourself are like the partners I never had in LAPD. But what I will say is that what Adam is doing and your story, and we're going to get to know your journey and what you actually did in LASD. I guess we call it LASD or LASO. I know you guys call it the Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, it's LASD for us. Where you typically see the O part is in court.
Right, LASO.
Stuff that's very formal, civil, that kind of stuff, it's LASO. Yeah. It's office, because it is the office of the sheriff, but the rank and file, it's LASD.
Yeah. Roger that, man. 30 years, huh? You started in 95 and you retired 30 years later in 2015. Would that be, or 2025?
Yeah, I just retired in October. October 1st, I retired.
Long ride.
Yeah, it was a long ride. It was great, actually. It was a long ride. It was, but I tell you, like you said, I was fortunate when I went to Norwalk. I met Adam at Norwalk. I was working patrol. He was already OSS, and I later went to followed in his footsteps, not following him, but I was already in the gang unit in custody.
Okay.
So I worked OSJ, which is the same. It's like Safe Streets on the street, only it's in the jail. We have no pedigree as compared to the guys on the street. We hadn't been to patrol yet.
Right.
But I already knew I wanted to work gangs.
Right.
So. I just followed that direction, did get OSS just like Adam did.
Dan, a couple of questions. Here we are in the academy, talk about these emotions of tragic incidents, if you will. In the academy, did anybody prepare you or your classmates, anybody come in and do a presentation, or there was a block of presentation that talks about, look, in this career, you're going to lose someone, or you're going to experience these emotions? I suppose what we call today mental wellness. What do you think?
They did, not to the extent today that I think they may. I haven't been in a class in a while. Like I said, I used to teach, but I never sat in on that part. I taught my particular expertise, but I think that's why Adam started what he's doing. But they did it in a way that they would show you a scenario of a deputy getting killed.
Okay.
Last day, line of duty, whatever. And they take that moment to teach people younger than them, hey, these situations, these are scenarios, these are training exercise, all different things. Emotions were part of it. They did let you know that, hey, we're here if you need us.
Okay.
And that's about as far as it went until you asked. You know, you had to.
Right.
If you if you shoot, you're gonna have to go talk to someone, no matter what. That's a given.
It has an impact.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. The style and the modality by which someone walks in and presents is different. I want to say in our academy, we had, unfortunately, Felbert Cuesta, the Cuesta shooting in Southwest and Southwest Crash Unit was tragic. And one of the officers that was there, right, the partner officer came in and told a story, I think 2 weeks before we graduated. It was just, I mean.
It's devastating.
It's devastating. Speaking of devastation, which is part of this podcast, which I'm curious to know, when you did see the IA guy, before it used to be called the Internal Affairs State Police podcast, what were your thoughts of someone actually talking about internal affairs? And I asked that because some people probably thought that, what are you doing? Who's going to come in to talk about internal affairs, right? I'm not going to call them haters, but I'm definitely going to call them critics. Negative, that is. Like, why would anybody want to come in to talk about a topic that's just very, very taboo? What do you think?
It is. That's one of the funny things about in the academy. They'll bring it up. They don't tell you the process. They don't go into depth of the process. So if it ever does happen to you, you're kind of, for the first time, you're like, what the hell just happened? But it's important. I mean, it really is important. Like we've talked about Adam a few times, but there are stuff that we did that was on our own later on on the department towards the end of my career. Some of those guys should have never been wearing the badge in the first place. Right. And we weren't about jaywalkers or just I'm downplaying what they did, but or some of the stuff that may have been done. We're like, yeah, go get somebody else to do that. We were some significant stuff that we were involved in. Right. And it's you would think like, well, who the hell's going to talk about that? And how I initially got Adam Tay, I got a message from the IA guy. You know what that is? I was like, that's who that is. Because I had, I follow a couple different podcasts, and it tags in because of what you do. Okay. And I saw some of your shorts, some of your reels. Yeah. That's what I saw. Yeah. That's how I initially learned about it.
Oh, great. No, I appreciate that. I always feel like, and I don't want to call it an IA story because we do get to know each other about our journey, right? And police functions as it is that I like to kind of touch it from a 30,000 foot view about internal affairs, which I would ask you, hey, when you were in the academy in 1995, what was your impression of internal affairs, if any? I know you said someone came in and probably talked about it, didn't explain the process to you. I can't remember, to this very day I reflect, I don't recall anybody really coming in, hey, we're from internal affairs. But even then, and I'm sure you would agree with me, I'm just trying to pass my learning domains.
That's what we were doing. But
I just want to graduate, right? You want to get to graduation.
Don't want to fall asleep. I want to get to eat somehow because they're starving me to death, and I got to pass everything.
And I got to pass everything.
But I remember, the only reason I specifically remember, I can't remember if it's an hour or two block, but I still have, when I was retiring, I had to give everything back, right? So I found the card they gave me, which is the Peace Officers Bill of Rights. Okay. And they have you sign it because they take a photograph, right. and it's September of 1995.
Wow.
And I'm like, damn.
Yeah,
I can't believe that didn't just disintegrate. But that, I remember because they came in and they gave it to us. Like, hey, if anything happens,
Adam, let me ask you this. You and I'm sorry about that. Dan Liecht. By the way, the E is silent, right? It's Liecht.
Yeah, just Liecht.
Like
you got it. You nailed it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I wanted to ask you is, why do you think that internal affairs, that function in it itself, has had a negative stigma for decades? Where do you think that comes from?
Well, fear of the unknown. Because you just said it. You couldn't actually remember in the academy them actually dialing it down for you.
Right.
So the first time you go through it, if you ever do, usually somebody goes through it at least once. That's your only really idea of how it works, right? It's fear of the unknown, but it's also there's people there at times. I think that the genre of people that work there, that IA investigators, sergeants, pretty much sergeants, they're all there to do the right thing, right? They're like, let's take us where the evidence goes, and let's go from there. Do we have a crime? If it is, then we're going to go to internal criminal. If it's just policy stuff, we're going to keep it here. That, and then, honestly, from the friends that I've had that have been through it and had negative experience, they got handled a bad. They didn't know they didn't feel comfortable enough to fight for themselves because it's the big department coming down on them. And there was all kinds of things they could have done, but it was fear of the unknown and what they could do to stop it. A part of it. I
like that, quote unquote, fear of the unknown. Let's go with that. Because when we respond, to a service call or a traffic stop, we're trying to get as much information as we can about what we're going to walk into or what is going to be presented to us, right?
Right.
But yet in our own department within, we just don't even know what this process is like. What do you think?
It's exactly, and I think it's that way by design. See, for example, I'll give you an example. We were talking about it a little earlier, but there was a time, probably 10 years ago, Adam and I were both working this undercover unit, and there was some stuff that occurred that had nothing to do with us. But some things came to us through basically a FOIA request from whoever was suing the department or whoever. We weren't even part of it. It was just, there was a grand jury, whatever. And some stuff came in. We looked everywhere. It came to us because it was time records and other stuff. We're like, we don't have any of that. And we don't handle the time. The sergeant does that. So we have everything. The captain has everything and whatever. So we didn't have it. It comes back. Long story short, it comes back. Look here. Well, if you already knew where it was, why didn't you just go get it? Right? You could have done that. You're law enforcement yourself. You could have went and done that. You could have wrote a warrant. It's real simple. I've wrote hundreds of them. Just walk in and here you go, take it and go. But it turned out that during that time, there was some stuff that happened to our team that one of the guys on the team did that was criminal.
Right.
It's state of California. You can't just go record whoever you want, whenever you want.
Right.
And it was criminal. Well, as I mentioned to you earlier, it's fear of the unknown. It's also that big, powerful entity, which is the department, and they're always going to protect themselves.
Right.
And they circled the wagons around the wrongdoer because what he knew and had done that was illegal, he didn't come up with that on his own.
Right.
So,
So
they,
someone-
so you get these people that are been told, hey, go make that go away or whatever was said.
Yeah.
And to make it go away was us.
Right.
Because if less we left, it wasn't going anywhere. I mean, it wasn't going to leak. It wasn't going to
Right.
be swept under the rug.
Totally. And let's go with that example. As you reflect on it right now, as we're having this conversation, is there anything different that the department could have done? What do you think?
Well, we presented them with enough evidence, because that's what we did for a living.
Right.
We presented evidence in some of the most critical cases in Los Angeles County history.
Right.
We gave them all the evidence they needed,
Okay.
and they destroyed it.
And then the other part is the fact that if
And
you
they-
know
I mean,
where-
they try
if
to
you
play
know where
stupid.
it's at,
Yeah.
then go and get it. My point is that let's just go with that.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. Then why would why expose
that-
us?
I
I guess that's the part that
Well, this is the thing, when you're trying, if you walk in, I was a detective for 9 years at OSS, the gang unit, and then became a bonus. 18 years, almost 19 years as a detective when I retired.
okay.
So the best way to handle anything in that position where you have somebody's wanted for attempted murder, whatever, you can't have any conceived notion that, this dude's a bad dude, he's a gang member, I know who he is, I've arrested him before, blah, blah, blah. Wipe the slate clean. Let's start anew, and let's get to the truth. How do I prove that he did it? If do I have any evidence? Right. Find the evidence. If it doesn't point to him, then you go the way it does point. Same scenario with us. They had a preconceived determination of how they needed this to end because there were very, very powerful people implicated at the top.
So essentially, it's self-serving.
Yes.
Very.
That's the only reason why you'd see people like that step into something. Let it be what it needs to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Would you agree with me that perhaps a lot of sergeants go to internal affairs to get a feather in the cap for the next step? What's your thoughts on that? What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's guys that have been sent there that have said, I'm not going there. I know for a fact on our department it's happened. I'm not going there.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, go give me 2 years, do good work, and we'll see where we land.
There
at
you
the
go.
end.
Totally.
And so was there a carrot dangled? I can't prove that.
Yeah. No, totally.
But-
It's a culture.
Yeah, and whether you're a sergeant as an IAB investigator, or you're a homicide investigator, or OSS detective, or just a station DB. Bottom line, get in front of it, figure out what you have, and investigate it. Wherever that leads, don't have a preconceived notion, or you need a preconceived determination at the ending of what, I need this guy to be guilty for what. Yeah, that's crap.
Well, I certainly don't want you to repeat yourself, but I was going to ask you if I were to put you in a room today, right now, gave you the podium, in a room full of sergeants. They're ready to begin their tour of internal affairs. What's the one thing you want them to know about that job?
Well, you're walking in. It's like being a new police officer.
Right.
First of all, you're a trainee. After you got out of the academy, you're a trainee. You're with your TO. You're standing with 10 other officers, but you're the only trainee. Nobody trusts you. Yeah. They don't know if when the shit hits the fan. They don't, and bullets start flying. Are you going to turn and run the other way, or are you going to stand with them? It's the same thing. Everybody from the outside looking in, you're the sergeant. You're the investigator. Number one, be professional. Number two, find out all points of view, not your lieutenant's point of view, not everybody else at the station. Well, that guy's got problems. That may be part of it, but go deeper than that.
Yeah. Would you agree with me if I told you that not many internal affairs investigators have the necessary training or experience or skill set?
1,000%. Like I just said, there are guys that are fantastic investigators. They typically don't go to IAB because they're great. They actually get to investigate crime. Not that we as law enforcement, every business, whether it's nurses, doctors, attorneys, cops, whatever, firemen, whatever walk of life, we all step in it.
Yeah.
At some point or another, and there's some that are worse than others, right? It's everywhere. But if you stepped into this badge or this job to take all the trauma like you started off the podcast with, to go investigate people that maybe had a policy violation, I didn't sign up for that. Yeah. I didn't sign up to be a traffic car. I didn't know I signed up that I wanted it, but after Stephen Blair, I knew. And then when I got my taste at the gang, all that stuff, yeah, it was 1,000%. It was.
Chime in on this, because this is where I'm going with these investigative skills, and you know this because you've been a detective for quite some time. You've had that experience. Lately, I've been reflecting a lot about IA investigations and focus more on dishonesty.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect, right? False statement, perjury.
It's typically where it starts.
Untruthfulness, whatever people want to call it. I know SB2, Post calls it dishonesty, so we'll go with that. We call it false statements. There's false statements, there's misleading statements, there's different words have meanings, but essentially it all means the same. We're trying to catch you on a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt like if I'm a detective and I have this murder suspect, 211, robbery suspect, whatever, we've been going after this guy for like a year.
Mm-hmm.
And finally patrol tells us, we caught the guy, right? There was a bolo. Hey man, he's in the box, he's in the room. And here you are, you and I, we're like, okay, great. So all chips are in, right? We have all this evidence. We have statements, we have surveillance videos, we have everything to walk in there to do a couple of things. One is to get a confession, right? Two, well, you might be lying to me, right? I'm going to be able to see that. And I know, science-based interviewing, different techniques can kind of indicate whether or not you're lying. Got that part, check. And last but not least, the suspect or the arrestee is going to tell us to go pound sand. Hey, I want my lawyer. So those are like only options that we have. And I thought to myself, you know what? If we're that good to go in there and just reveal everything, right? We keep preaching transparency. Hey, we want to be able to say, hey, we have all this evidence. You need to let us know. Or what if I told you if I saw you or, we have a witness and you're really revealing to try to get this confession. And then I asked myself, as I reflect today with the cases that I've worked in internal affairs, I don't think the internal affairs investigators go about it the same, especially when we're accusing our colleague of lying. What do you think?
Well, you started it off by saying some of the investigators at IAB weren't detectives prior to going to there, right? So that's one problem. But with every investigation, whether it's a murder or whatever the situation is, or now you're investigating your own for whatever that may be, you can't think of it as a timed scenario. Mm-hmm. You should sit down with him, gain a rapport, and don't start with what you know. Lock him into a statement. Tell me a story. What'd you do last week? Because whatever he or she did wrong, started this day, whatever it was, right? So let's go a week back. Let's go a lot farther. Where'd you go to high school? Where'd you grow up? What made you want to become a cop? So what you're going to do is make them feel more at ease, right? They're going to calm down. Right now, they're speaking from nervous anxiety, and they're going to try to shut everything down, right? Well, get a play for him. Not a play. Get a litmus test of where he's at with his mind, where he's thinking, what thinks is going to happen. Talk to him for a while. And I'm not saying bamboozle him. That's not the point. Right. What you're doing is getting him to talk, earn your trust. You're going to earn his trust. He's going to earn your trust, blah, blah, blah. Go back and forth. And one thing, if nothing else comes from that, and you want an attorney, you've got a timeline. You have everything that he has in his head that he did, and now you go prove otherwise. If that's, in fact, you have evidence that's different than what he just said, that's part of the battle. Because you can play that. I'm sure you're recording it.
Yeah, of course.
Remember
100%.
You said this?
Yes.
Well, what if I showed you that? Because you said you were here, but you and your car are at the Denny's or whatever.
Yeah.
You're here. We need to have a conversation.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I often think, and again, I don't want the audience to know that like it always happens. That's not the case. I'm talking about framing an allegation of a false statement where it derives, right? It actually comes from that compelled interview with the investigator. In other words, after having that 1 hour, 2 hour compelled interview, he or she, the investigator, goes back and thinks to themselves, you know what? They weren't really being truthful. Okay, cool. That's fine. But I often think to myself, and again, this is just across the board, nationwide. all internal affairs, not just LASD, not LAPD. I just feel as though that sometimes we don't take the time to really think about or have these conversations with your bosses, because they're the adjudicators, to say, hey, you know what? I'm having a problem with this. And here's the kicker. More often than not, there's not a subsequent interview.
No,
The bosses just turn around. I mean, you tell me if I'm having you heard, right? A couple of your colleagues in your 30-year career where they've been alleged of lying and they ended up getting terminated, and then you look back and you think to yourself, well, that's kind of bizarre. How is it that they found you guilty for a false statement? What do you think?
It depends on what you have. I mean, it kind of hypothetical. It depends on what the case is, but that's always the go-to, right? Integrity issues. You can fire any officer for integrity if they lied. But some of those are going to get returned or turned over by civil service.
Correct.
That's what they think of it. And it depends on like you said, it depends. There's a lot of scenarios that go into that. It depends on, in a pursuit. Did was it a pursuit? Did he, whatever, anybody get hurt? Maybe a couple of days off, whatever. Hey, dude, don't forget you got to do this, and this, and don't come in here and say you did, because we know you didn't, because it's not on. If you were on the air, we would have heard it.
Yeah, it's
recorded, that kind of stuff. But sometimes when it's like that, and it doesn't matter what you got the feel. Let's say you wrote the report. Yeah. I'm not sure he was, or he actually thinks that's what happened. Yeah. And then it goes up, like you said, and they make the decision anyways. So I think there's a again, yes. I think there is, at some point, there's predetermination, and you have no part of that.
I'm with you. I am so with you on that. I think you nailed it in the head, where we talk about preconceived notions of, hey, this is where I want this to go. Or you're right. You go, hey, boss, you know what? I kind of think they're, you know what? They weren't, and I'm not even going to say I kind of think they were lying. Let's just say, you know what? I was having a problem when they were transporting the body. Like when I asked questions about transporting the body and ended up in the heliport, to get booked, there was just a series of questions that I didn't ask, in which I kind of felt maybe he misunderstood my questions, or maybe I misunderstood what the accused employee was saying. So maybe I should go back and do a subsequent interview, do a follow-up, do it again to get some clarity, because maybe there is this misunderstanding.
Well, at the end of the day, whether you're a detective at homicide or a detective wherever, or a IAB detective as a sergeant, at the end of the day, you're going to decide, at least you're going to investigate something that could potentially get somebody terminated, right? You have every authority. They'll tell you, oh, no, it's done. We have time. I got to make some changes to my report.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I can't tell you how many young deputies or officers, period, they don't understand the significance of a detective. No, we're not doing it that way. Yeah, we are. No, we're not. Okay, great. We're doing it that way? What are you doing? I'm signing the case over to you.
Yeah.
It's yours now.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting my name on that if I'm not, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Or I turn it in, right? Yeah. And then on the 364th day, you get charged with a false, and you're like, well, that's not the allegation I framed.
Yeah, and it's you have the people, no matter where you're at in any department, there's, power. You want to see what somebody's heart is, give them a little bit of power. And that happens everywhere.
Amen to that.
Not just police officers, but everywhere. Yeah. And not everybody, blows up and becomes a power-hungry fool, but it does happen. It happens at IAB, above the investigators. It happens at all walks, right? Real quick story. I'm working patrol.
No, please.
Back then we were called regions. We had a commander that was pissing and moaning about use of force in Region 3. So we got pulled aside. I was working a specialized team at Norwalk. We got pulled aside that said, hey, the commander gigged us all for, our force is way up. What are you talking about, our force is way up? I can't help it if this dude's going to punch me in the face and he gets his ass kicked. I can stop. That's not the point. The point is, we're just supposed to get beat up? He goes, no, what they want you to do is spray him first. Stop using your hands. And I sat there for a minute and I looked at him. I said, Ken, you do realize that this guy's fighting. It's on, right? Yeah. I'm going to go for my OC spray. Now I'm going to have a roll of quarters in my hand. And fists start flying, I'm not going to think about spraying. I'm going to throw back. And he got all mad. What? Just do it. So this is, again, a bean counter trying to tell you how to handle a fight. Probably hasn't been in a fight in years. So that night we go out. We're working in Norwalk's neighborhood. And my partner was a shorter guy, but this guy, we pulled over this gangster, and he, for whatever reason, he just went off on my partner. And I pulled out the OC spray, and he started swinging, and bap. Of course, I had the can in my hand, just like I said. It wasn't planned at all.
Right.
It hit him, out he goes, and I have the can. I actually showed it to Adam on his podcast. It's bent.
Okay.
Because I hit him. I mean, it was in my hand.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? And they were like, really? I'm like, if we had had a body camera at the time, you'd have been like, see, I told you. It doesn't always work that way. And sometimes you don't get the interview you thought. And there could be reasons. Maybe he's crying.
Yeah.
Maybe his wife left him and he's very upset. Yeah. And the question, you're dealing with the emotion and keeping him calm, and you forget a question or whatever. Yeah. And now they say, oh, no, just wrap it up. Let's get it up. They'd already made their decision, which is sad.
It's sad, unfair, unreasonable, and self-serving. I'd be the first one to tell you, sometimes, and maybe you can agree with me on this, is that you'll turn it in and your bosses will say, like, the line, you know what, okay, thanks for turning it in. You know, we'll
take it from here.
Yeah, we'll take it from here.
Oh, great.
And the next thing you know, they're being alleged of a false statement, and then they get served, they get skellied, and that poor accused colleague of yours, right, your buddy, your classmate, or you guys went to sergeant school together, or, you know, you guys were deputies together, and he's like, I didn't even know. I'm being what? I'm being alleged, you know, with a false statement. I mean, come on, man. I just feel as though that, not all the time, it's just that at times it requires a certain skill set from an experienced investigator, detective, to essentially get the most fair, adequate answer that you can, considering the circumstances. You're right. Maybe there is, a death in the family. Remember, there's something going on. But I agree with you. I haven't heard that yet. Where building a rapport, I think it's good. A good foundation to make sure they kind of calm the nerves. And I don't. And again, I don't think that we do that as well. Big agencies like ours, we're good at what we do, 100%. Medium to small size agencies, I don't think so. I really feel as though if you have an agency where it has 4 sergeants, right, 1 lieutenant, and and here's 1 captain and then the chief, and that 1 sergeant says, hey, here's your IA, and next thing you know, hey, I think they're lying. I don't think they necessarily know how to go about, one, framing such a serious allegation that's gonna, it's gonna turn your life upside down. We talked about this, and leads me to ask you, quote unquote, what do you think about the penalty? I'm sorry, the punishment's not really the penalty. The punishment is the process.
It's definitely the process. Been through it several times. I've done stuff wrong. Not wrong to be fired or anything like that, but I was in a pursuit years ago, 2-man hoop down in Norwalk, and we were chasing a guy. My partner was just running plates. It was cold, it was raining, he was just running plates. And he ended up, he ran probably 4 or 5, and we're in a neighborhood down in Norwalk, and comes back stolen. And I'm like, which car is it, dude? He goes, I don't know, I ran a couple, and there's no cars around us, right? So we end up finding the car, right? And he's booked on us, right? He's far away. So he puts it out, my partner, he puts it out. And they asked what the status was. Could you tell me? We're looking for him. Long story short, the guy had a oil leak or something in his car, so his car was smoking. It was stolen, but the car was smoking. So we followed the smoke trail. We figured out that the car he ran was smoking, and we followed the smoke trail, went into another jurisdiction, another city. We followed it over into Bellflower, where he was running. This guy was gone. He was on one. He was trying to get away. He thought we were right behind him, I guess. He ended up crashing into a house. So we catch him running away from it, detain him, arrest him, do all that kind of stuff. We were told don't go in pursuit. We didn't. We were actually following the smoke. We were going fast. Right. It was pretty thick smoke too, so we couldn't, we would have hit something. Anyway, long story short, we walk in, you have to go see the watch commander. We walk in to talk to the watch commander. He said, don't pursue it. Next thing you know, we're 10, 15 with the guy running and all that stuff. Well, you must have pursued it. No, we actually didn't. It was just luck is what it was.
Right.
And following the smoke. When we walk into his office, he literally threw a file folder with the pursuit policy in it at me.
Okay, what happened after that?
Oh, it didn't go well for him. I picked it up and threw it back at him. I said, I don't know if you think I'm your kid or something, but so it went sideways from there. But that's it. So if you can imagine, so law enforcement, we take the oath.
Yes.
Some of these things that you're investigating as IAB investigators or internal criminal investigations are their worst day.
100%.
Or they know that, oh, that didn't go well. Yeah. I got to shut up or try to, get around this. It's still their worst day.
Yeah.
You take anybody else in any other job and go do what law enforcement does and see how that's going to turn out for everybody involved. Yeah. They're going to be in the same position. They're going to fire them. Yeah. Teachers, nurses, they're going to
lawyers,
those things that you do in a heat of moment. Some of it is force because you're in a fight.
Yes.
And you didn't stop maybe when you should have, and there's things there. But it's a very difficult place to be put in as an investigator, IEB investigator, and yet oftentimes the investigators themselves have the least amount of experience.
Yeah.
And those are difficult things to investigate.
Oh, God, you're not just speaking my language, but I appreciate the honesty of knowing that we should definitely get some investigators in internal affairs with a good skill set. What that is, I don't know. My thinking is, you know what? Like you said, let's have some homicide. Look, if I'm a big agency or even a small agency, medium-sized, whatever it is, even if you're a small-sized agency, let's get you to homicide, training. Let's get you to some really good science-based interviewing, and let me guide you and not just leave you there thinking that I can trust you that you're going to be doing the right thing. Because oftentimes, like we just spoke, it becomes self-serving, and sometimes we don't even have that guidance. Maybe it is that one sergeant in that agency is like, you know what, I think they're lying, dude.
Yeah, that thing that we went through, that what I told you about, that it was very high. I mean, like I said, we were interviewed multiple times, and the people that were just buzzing around like vultures around those interviews. What do you say? And you could hear them. Yeah. Like, I'm standing right here. You want to know what I said? I'll tell you what I said. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'll talk to the sheriff. No, they didn't want me to do that because we already knew they were involved.
Can't go to dad.
With that, I won't go into names. All the stuff that happened. There was a chief, a commander, and 2 captains that were gone when we were done. Yeah. We actually, when you have your unions and stuff, you have in that particular space, we felt like we were now under investigation, but they hadn't told us. So I reached out to somebody I knew, and I'm not going to mention his name, but he was an attorney for the union. And he heard everything, and he goes, well, there's nothing we can do because we've already picked up the guy that did the issue. And he goes, but I'll get back to you. So he did. He called the commander at the time, and they were friends. And he said, you have 2 chances. You only have 2 chances. Were they under investigation? I'm going to say it again. Last chance. Were they? No, sir. You better stick to that, because now it's your job on the line. Yeah. And so obviously that one, we had nothing to do with it other than we caught something that they didn't want us to know, but that was our job.
Yeah,
that's what we did.
Those were the marching orders.
That's what we did. Well, that's what we did for everybody. It wasn't just for the department. We did it for all kinds of departments.
Yeah, and I want to get to that assignment for sure, but I've been thinking about this lately, and hopefully you can chime in on this and maybe even agree, or actually not even agree or disagree. Do you think we're family, or do you think we're actually just like a corporate organization with employees? What do you think? And the reason why I say that before you answer is that we keep preaching this thin blue line, right? We're this happy family. I mean, Christmas just happened, right? Thanksgiving just happened. You know, hey, bring in, you know, we're going to have a potluck. That Wednesday before Thanksgiving, hey, Dan, you're such a hard worker. Get off work early because you're good to go, right? Take some time off. I'm going to wear the Santa Claus hat, come in and take your shift. We're just like that, but hold on a second. You have an IA? Damn, Dan. It sounds pretty serious. Sounds like you're actually lying. So you know what? Now I can't talk to you. So, you know, you're in the alley all by yourself in that dark alley. So my question to you is, and I've been thinking about this, is are we really family or are we just like employees? What do you think?
Well, that's an interesting way of putting it. Of course, we're family, but there's a family you choose and a family you're given. Mm-hmm. And the department is not the family you're given. It's the one they've promoted. The family you've earned is like Adam and I, and I'm sure you have partners.
Yes.
That was forged in fire.
Yes.
That has nothing to do about, hey, you're my sergeant, you're my whatever. We're on the same department, we're family. No, that guy calls me at 3 a.m, and it doesn't matter what it is. Yeah. He's family. The family that we're all friends. Yeah, those people there. So that guy that's sitting behind you at IAB, maybe lieutenant captain or whatever. We're all family. And then you did what? And now you can't see him. He doesn't even return your call.
Yeah.
That family member has an agenda, and he's not part of my family.
Yeah, no. And I just want to clarify also that when I think about family, we're very fortunate because we come from large organizations. Mm-hmm. We can call our colleagues.
Yeah, that is a benefit. It's a hindrance and a benefit, but most of the time it's a benefit.
And I certainly don't want to call command staff and brass their family because, number one, I don't see you every day. Number two, you're not really family. Yeah. You know, but the hypocrisy comes from we're the thin blue line. Mm-hmm. What I feel real bad for, my heart, you know, because I've been doing this, you know, we're 2 years in this podcast and I get calls nationwide. What kind of breaks my heart is when you have that small agency, right? That medium-sized agent, like less than 100, 50, maybe 30. And we're supposed to be this one big family, but hey, you make one mistake and next you know it's self-serving. We treat you like you're in the dark alley all by yourself.
I don't want to make it sound like that all command staff is bad. That's not true. There's a handful of guys that I knew came up with, and if I had a problem, if they were at all going to be involved in that situation or solving that problem, I could tell them, hey, this is what's up, this is what happened. But it's far and few between at that rank. Mm-hmm. But it is sad that there are LA County gets called into everything because we are the mothership, right? We get called to everywhere. And it's really sad when you find out, like, what did you do that for? What'd you do that to him for? Yeah. And maybe that person just doesn't realize, what do you think you're supposed to take that? You just because you only you're an officer and you're not that guy, he doesn't get to treat you like that. That's why that lieutenant got that stuff thrown back at him. Yeah. You know, we can go talk to the captain. Yeah. I didn't throw it first. What you think I'm supposed to, you can get upset with me for whatever reason. I get it. You're under stress. You told us not to go in pursuit. We didn't. You think we did because we caught him. We only catch the dumb ones. Okay. So, but you don't get to throw something at me because of it. And if you think you get to, not because you're my lieutenant and you're upset, you get to determine how I respond to that. Yeah. I'm sorry, you don't. You don't. And if I respond in a way that I shouldn't have, then I'll take that.
Yeah. You'll hold yourself accountable.
Yeah, I'll hold myself accountable, or they can too. But I mean,
that's the other buzzword, accountability.
Yeah, we don't. There is none there. I don't think anybody above us in our situation could have handled what Adam and I went through and successfully navigated through it because they all just, that's it, I retire. I don't think they could have handled it.
Oh no, now you're really preaching to the choir.
Yeah, they couldn't have handled it. That's why they left.
One of where I cringe, right, a little bit, not much, but a little bit, is when people resign in lieu of. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you know what's going on there.
And not only that, it's just that, look, words have meanings. We keep preaching the other buzzword, accountability. Well, if you're going to hold yourself accountable, then you know what? Stick around, man. Yeah. Stick around, go through this whole process, because we both know that, hey, man, the punishment's really this whole process. Mm-hmm. And if it comes back sustained, because it occurred, right? Then go ahead and resign. Go ahead and retire. walk in the roll call and apologize to your colleagues. Because it made the news. It's a newsworthy event. They sensationalize it. Now the whole department thinks because of what I did, everybody else is the same or is doing police work like I did. I cut corners, whatever. So yeah, that's where I kind of think to myself, words have meanings. Dan, let me ask you this. You worked in an undercover capacity in the unit. I wanted to ask you, what did you learn about yourself when you were in this unit as you reflect on this assignment, if you will, today as we're having this conversation?
A funny thing is that you, as an investor, much of what we did we couldn't talk about. There's still stuff today we won't talk about. But you realize how open you are, and you start talking about something that you shouldn't have been talking about, just around people you shouldn't have been talking about, right? And you're, what did I just say? It's funny what you catch yourself doing when you know that first of all, you're on camera all the time. You're on audio all the time. If you don't realize that, then pick up your phone after you've had a conversation with anybody and see what advertisements are on your phone after you've talked to them. Oh, I need to get that plate or whatever, and now it's there. Wow, that's been going on for years. But anyways, you're being surveilled.
So you guys were algorithms before it became the algorithm.
Yeah. So I learned, many things, but how we play, how we rely so much on technology, and as soon as it's taken away, we're kind of like handicapped or like what the heck. So we always made it so that we never wanted to put somebody in a position, and we did put a lot of people in a position, very dangerous position, but we never wanted to rely upon, let's say, wireless or Bluetooth or whatever. We always hardwired, always.
Okay.
Even if we didn't own it, we were going to hardwire whatever. We never wanted to lose somebody because of, Wi-Fi's down or Bluetooth or whatever. Bad connection. Can you hear them? Nope. I remember Adam going to a big briefing on a specific event at a jail, and all the way up to the undersheriff was there, and they told him they had it all figured out what they wanted. And we're going to mic them up. We're going to send the deputy in there and do all this stuff. And they're all like, yeah, that's great. We'll do that. Blah, blah, cop killer, all this stuff. And Adam's there, and he starts laughing. They're like, what are you laughing at? He goes, that guy's going to get about 10 feet in the facility, and you're going to lose everything from him. You're not going to hear a damn thing. Why? Because it's all concrete and steel. None of that's going to work. So the thing that I learned is the hypocrisy that the department. So we are the experts, not just for the county.
Okay.
But we went to, like, when Palm Springs, their officers got killed a while back, 3 officers. We went to that. We got called in. Ventura County Sheriffs, they had an OIS or a deputy-involved shooting, and it was a horrific shooting. And nobody believed them, and we took their video and walked through it forensically with them. CHP, everybody. They're like, hey, can you help us? Yeah. And yet they know that. Because if we get evidence and we hand you evidence back and you're an outside agency, we're going to charge you. It's a nominal rate, but it's far less than you would go if you got the FBI or something like that to do it, or a private company. But they do that just for, I don't know, just billing our hours.
Yeah.
We can't charge them overtime, but the department will,
right.
$100, whatever it is. And then when it comes down to stuff like that, they just discount everything you said. They're like, go ahead, do it that way. Watch what happens. You're going to get some people hurt. And then it's going to be on you. Yeah. And they just they're in that glass tower that, like I said, that power absolutely corrupts, and they're up there, and they don't. Not a lot of them come back down and talk to the people that do the actual job.
Interesting.
And that's everywhere. That's not just in law enforcement. It's.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, did you have any expectations going into this unit, or was it everything a surprise?
It's interesting. It's a loaded question for me because I was at OSS. Adam was already gone. He had left. I think he was there about 2 years at the undercover unit, and I needed to get out. I was done. He left, and I left later for the same reasons. Everybody had changed. All the brass had changed. It was not a best place to be. It was great before, but after, it was, what the hell is going on here? Like I said, there's a bunch of people trying to teach you how to do gang stuff that never even worked the gang unit. Okay, we're all experts. I've testified in 4 separate counties in the state.
Yeah.
I teach it. Okay, so what I left. But I tested, okay, where I want to go. Well, the natural progression is homicide. So I tested, and then Adam said, dude, you got to test with us. I'm like, I don't know anything about that. He goes, yeah, you do. So I did both, and I tested for both. So I test for homicide first, and there's like, I don't know, 300-400 people tested. It's one of the best agencies, homicide detective agencies in the country. So huge test. So I do all that, take all 3 segments, same with the unit we're at now, where I was at. And I just told myself, you know, whatever God wants, whatever, it's his blessing, which now what I'm going to do, right? So first of all, let's just see if I pass.
Right.
So everything goes through. The lists are promulgated. I'm number 3 on both. I'm like, yeah, good looking out. Number 3 on both. Okay, well, the tech crew, we were called at the time, we used to be SPY when it switched under block. I told you that story, but we were tech crew. They only had 6 guys on their team, and there was only 1 available. There was 3 available spots, 1 for a forensic team and 1 for the team that I ended up going to. And homicide was going to take a bunch, and I said, well, whoever calls me first. So tech called me first, so I went. So there's both same pay, bonus 2, blah blah blah, and at one point I looked like Captain Morgan on the my hair was I looked like a Mongol, and for those reasons I won't go into, but not that I am or was or any disparagement to them, but that's
it's
the
a
name
good
of the
comparison.
game. Yeah,
okay.
but that's what I look like. So then 3 months later, I'm in the seat. I'm in Adam's old desk. Oops, sorry. He moved to the desk next to me. Phone rings, and I'm looking at the phone like it's some new thing to me, right? I'm like, and it says who's calling me. I'm like, why is my phone ringing? It goes to the main line. Why isn't we had a secretary, Lisa? I'm like, Lisa Warren. She goes, because they're calling you directly. Nobody knows I work here. So I pick it. They're like, pick up the phone. So I pick it up, and it's the ops lieutenant or ops sergeant at homicide. Like, hey, Dan, you ready? Ready for what? To come to homicide. And I'm like, oh, I thought they took you promote. They usually take your name off the list.
Yeah.
And I said, I thought you guys knew. He goes, really? You're not? I said, no, I think I'm good where I'm at. He goes, are you kidding? I'm like, no, I'm good, man. I'm having fun. I'm doing what we're doing. So I'm sorry, I forgot the premise of the question, but it's funny because I was like, wow, this really worked out I got lucky. I mean, 2 best jobs in the county, honestly. But 90% of what we did was for them. I mean, we got called out to every call out because video is now part of everything.
I'm glad, and let's pick it up from there because I was so intrigued when I met Adam to talk about what did we call it? The national standard of
Video forensics.
Yes, talk to me about that.
Well, it's interesting because Adam, at the time, right when I came into the team, and it's like a 3-year training program there. It takes, first of all, you have to catch up with technology, but then you also have to catch up with stuff so what law enforcement has is usually stepped down from the military, and it's usually like your SEALs and JSOC and all that stuff. It gets stepped down. As they get better equipment, it comes down to law enforcement. And then when we're done with it, it goes to the general public. And, well, we don't have any money for that stuff, right? So Adam was going with our sergeant at the time. He was in a lot of meetings about just that. And they were trying to hone in on several things, but a national standard for video frames per second, all that kind of stuff, that it was nationally the same. It wasn't, well, in this county in LA, it's 10 frames. In this county, it's 12, whatever. So they landed on 15 frames per second nationally.
Okay.
Our department, I'm sure your department wasn't either. None of us were compliant. It had never been talked about before, really.
I'm so curious. I'm going to call all my FID buddies and ask.
I'm sure they are now.
1, 2. Well, yeah, because the birth for us was 2015 with body worn video. I want to say January of 2016 is when we launched.
Well, so
it's been about 10 years.
And we came on after you, and there's a political reason for that. They were already talking about doing it, and they held up the money from, if I remember correctly, they held up the money for a little bit. The board of supervisors, so Alex couldn't do it right away. It's a big buy. It's a big ask. I mean, it's not cheap. But that standard definitely fits right on top of the body worn because that's all evidentiary if needed, right? So you can't have me wear a body-worn camera that's at 10 frames per second, which isn't even the national average, and then bring it into a court of law and say, see, he did or didn't do that.
Got it.
It's not evidence.
Right.
I said, well, you know what? My attorneys for me would say, you got a great idea. Bring me the video that's unedited. It's not edited. Well, where's the other 20 frames? You did edit it. You may have not, and you may not have sent it anywhere, but the system automatically deleted 20 frames of it.
Ooh.
So what are you gonna? What do you kick? You know, he shot him. Well, we know he shot him.
Okay, yeah.
But what did he do? We don't catch that. It's been deleted.
Educate me on this. If the national standard is 15 frames per second, if you increase the seconds, does the frame become more clear? Or?
Yeah, it's just based on. So it's just based on it's 15 frames per second. So if the frames go up, if your seconds go up, then your frames will go up. If it's 15 frames, so you're going to have more frames because you have more time.
Right.
Right. So the best you could have is 30 frames per second.
Oh, that's so you can cap out.
So yeah. So you cap out. There's some high like 4K and other stuff that's coming out now that they'll say they're like 60 frames, but some of that is like biorhythm. It's got a lot of metadata in it.
Got it.
For sound and all kinds of other stuff. It doesn't actually. It may give you detail, but stuff that the naked eye wouldn't miss if it was missing.
Got it.
But at 10 frames a second, and somebody gets stabbed in the head, and he's right in front of the camera, and you don't see it, and why don't I see that? Well, unfortunately, it decides which 20 frames it's going to delete. So if it wasn't captured, it wasn't captured. You can't go back and
love it. Learn something new, brother.
Well, that's why we were so integral.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you know this.
I probably don't.
There is there used to be, I don't know if they still give them out. There used to be an award that they gave out in LA County.
Okay.
Of the number of, based on millions, how much you saved the county of Los Angeles in investigative work because it didn't go to trial. Because you have that much evidence. So they took a deal or whatever. That team was presented with that multiple times. Yeah. Because, for example, Suge Knight didn't take his case to trial, directly related to the work we did on that case for our homicide. I mean, when you lay it all out and there's 29 pages of evidence, single spaced, and there's 25 per page, and you look at that as the accused, and it's all you. It's your mouth. Yeah. You said it. He took that deal.
Right. I think at one point I saw statistics that a murder trial in the county of Los Angeles is probably about $1 million.
Yeah. And it's very rare for somebody not to go to trial, even if they like.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you can spend $250,000 and
because they're hoping about beyond hope that when they give the jury instructions, that maybe they didn't meet it and they go murder two, or not murder one. They bump it down so there's a life. There isn't a life without. It's 15, 20 years with the possibility of parole. That's what they're hoping for, if they still get found guilty. But for him, that's what he got: 30 years with the possibility. So,
I like it. Okay, the one question that I don't like to ask, but I do like to ask. I know it sounds very contradictory, but I got to ask: worst incident in your career?
Oh, gosh, that's the sad thing is there's many come to mind. I know I'm not going to mention it, no disrespect, because I know that's what Adam brought up, Jerry Ortiz. That was horrible, and that doesn't. He's already discussed it, but that was probably. I mean, for many reasons. I mean, obviously that's your partner. He was like I told you, I dealt with Steve Blair before I was hired. Up until Jerry, Stephen Blair was the only OSS personnel killed in the line of duty until Jerry Ortiz. So there was just the two. But everybody saw the outcry of support from the community and everybody when Jerry was murdered and the way that happened. But I got to say that I'll stick to that. There's many other, but I'll stick to that, and I won't leave it. That of course the murder, it was horrible. The whole thing, we were both out there all night until they caught him, the whole 9 yards. But I'm going to go forward to something that most people didn't see or knew took place. When that happened, I was working GET. I got sent over from Carson to Lakewood to help, find the dude with SEB and the whole gang unit was out there. And we found him, arrested him, did all that kind of stuff. When I was working Carson GET, we all came over. We never went back. We became part of the task force for the OSS and the federal task force that took place. We were their strike team, the get team. They added more people to us, but essentially that's what we did. I went off after that all got done. He got convicted. I went to Lenox during that time as get, came back, promoted at OSS, and came back to Lakewood for the takedown. Now, the takedown was we did 181 locations simultaneously. Largest RICO act in U.S. history until, I don't know if it's been taken over now, but up until that point. 4 states. And our team, we didn't hit it happened at Lakewood, so we did everything. We didn't hit a house. We did for 4 years. We hit many homes. Mm-hmm. Took the whole gang, the whole 9 yards. We did, the crime rate in that city where he was killed went down 75% in 4 years. So huge impact. But the impact part was when it was all said and done and we were going to execute all the warrants. They always found us at our secondary locations, they being the gang members. They were always scouting in the middle of the night. So we went down to, Los Alamitos Air Base down there, the JSOG base, and we asked the commander, hey, can we use part of your base for that day? And we had, hundreds of law enforcement. We had all of Quantico. Yeah. As many SWAT teams that you guys have, we used all of them. Quantico sent 3, all of our SWAT teams were there, multiple agencies sent their SWAT teams. But we were in the command, the big trailers we have that are the command structure for that. And so we were on the bridge for that. So, when you do a multi-location search warrant, everybody's at their secondary, they're briefing with their teams, and we all go at this, we all hit at the same time. And they put it out, all units on this operation, you have the green light. So everybody hits simultaneously, right? Well, what people don't know, and I don't want to give anything up, but there wasn't a dry eye on that day because his wife was on the bridge with us. Now, they were just married. They had just got married like 2 weeks prior to that. So that was probably the most difficult day because she was there. And of course she would lose it, right?
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
That was tough. That was a difficult day. But it was a very rewarding day. Yeah. But it was difficult because
full of emotions.
Yeah, many people. There was only they locked those doors. They didn't. Everybody wanted to come in, right? Yeah. We knew everybody that was there. And I think there was only maybe 10 people on the bridge, and the only people I think they let in was captains and above. Yeah. After that, once the 10 were doing their thing, but yeah, that was a difficult day.
Thanks for sharing, man. I really appreciate that. Okay, man. So let's leave on a good note. One, you just retired not too long ago.
Just retired. Best job I ever had.
They say in retirement, quote unquote, every day is a Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot it was Monday till my phone reminded me I had this today. It's Saturday. I don't have to go today.
What are we doing? Just enjoying, after 30 years?
Yeah, I'm still
bit of a journey.
I'm still doing some of the art. I built furniture. I did Adam's logo, the Proper Scoundrel.
Oh, really?
He did all the AI, all that stuff. He's amazing with this stuff. But the actual artwork I did for him. Done many things for him. We're always asking each other for stuff. I build him something, draw him something. He does something for me. But yeah, I'm just doing that stuff. I'm working on some logos right now for a friend of mine's daughter. She pinstripes cars, so cool. Working on that stuff. Just staying busy. I'm gonna try to start traveling now once the weather gets a little bit better.
That's right. No, absolutely. Roger that. Hey, I'm going to leave the floor up to you. Any advice you have for anyone that wants to come on to become a police officer, a deputy? What do you got for that, man?
It's just, I would say it again. I've said it before in training and all the teaching we did. You're your own worst enemy. Don't forget to not look inward before you look outward. And the number one is the key to longevity is trusting the people you trust and not trusting the people you think you should trust. Not to say that you're going to go do anything wrong, nothing like that, but not everybody that's wearing your same uniform is your friend.
Yeah, we're not always family.
Nope, exactly. It's
good, man.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Have you for coming, man. I
really
appreciate it.
Have a happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to all of you. Please be safe out there. And don't forget to go Code 6. Thank you.